We are both going to be speaking at the SEMrush conference on the 5th of December in Bangalore, or however it's pronounced. And obviously, we are in the lead up to the conference. We are just going to be giving people a bit of information and some tips and stuff like that in the lead up to the conference. But as I say, we're joined today by Benu. Benu, for anyone who doesn't know anything about you, can you just explain a bit about yourself and what you're currently doing at the moment?
Awesome. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Craig, and thank you, SEMrush, for inviting me to speak on this webinar and also in Bangalore event. Really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event. What I'm currently doing and what I've been doing for the last 22 years is a beautiful company. I'm a president and a founder of Milestone. And in my current role, I manage technology, lead couple of other teams, which is technology delivery and a lot of professional services. And that's my brief introduction.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to find out a hell of a lot more about your journey, what you've done when you start your presentation. So yeah, I've had a quick look through the slides, and obviously we've spoke prior to this, and it's an interesting journey, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the presentation. And obviously with your presentation and whatnot, that you mentioned that this is a kind of lead up to your presentation at the conference in India. Is that correct?
Yes. Some of it is going to lead up, and I think we would love to get feedback from our SEO community, which is nearest and dearest to my heart.
Yeah, all feedback's always good and always welcome. Also, for anyone who's watching, Benu's going to have a presentation which is going to be about 25-30 minutes long, but we will have some time to ask Benu any kind of question, whether it's business related, scaling up your business, SEO related, whatever it may be. Put your questions in the live chat on the right hand side, and I'll try and answer, or I'll try and get as many of those answered by Benu as we possibly can. Now, just before Benu starts her presentation, we always give away one free ticket to the conference on the 5th of December in Bangalore. And what we want people to do is retweet. So if you go to SEMrush's Twitter, if you can retweet the video about the SEMrush India conference and give us a reason on why you want to come to the webinar. We're looking for the best tweet or the best answer, and Benu, after the webinar, will select the most inspiring question, and that person will win a ticket to the event in December. So make sure that you do get your retweets and shares and everything else done, and you could potentially win a ticket to the conference. So what we'll do now, Benu, is we will let you take center stage now, and you can start your presentation. I'll just mute my mic for now and let you take center stage.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Craig. And by the way, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Really appreciate you taking out time this morning around the globe. So brief introduction. Let me just set the stage on what I will be covering today. In my presentation, I'll be talking a little bit about epic growth strategies, but I'm also talking about what are those values and things which really helped me in the last 22 years to stay focused, really, align everyone within the company, within the team. So I'll begin with slight introduction, few slides about the company and what we do and why we do what we do and what kind of a tool sets we have built and what strategies we have. So Milestone is, we are based in Silicon Valley, Bay Area. We have offices in Chicago, DC, a lot of remote employees, and also office in India, Ahmedabad and Bangalore. I started this journey 22 years back as a agency, and in fact, a little bit more on consulting services, which evolved into agency services, and then slowly that adopted into creating robust platform. And we'll be talking about few things which I did along the way. So here are some of the services we provide, which is really your full-blown agency services. And here are all the platforms we built to support these services. And I think that is a key differentiation between a standard agency versus agency which has software in mind. And I'm going to be discussing that a little bit later. The reason of building software is because software helps you scale, but reason agency exists because we are in the business of solving customer problems. So we'll talk a little bit later about why and what are the strategy which works and some of the examples of how we deployed it for everyone. But before that, who is Milestone? Milestone is just amazing group of people, which is just around the globe. From our Ahmedabad to Bangalore to Santa Clara, Chicago, DC, and all other folks which are just around the globe supporting this organization or supporting our part of Milestone family. So let's start with company history. Where are we today and how did we get there? This is where we are today. We have been in 5,000 for several years. These are some of the biggest brands we work with: McDonald's, Marriott. Some of these are U.S. banks. Some of these are very big brand we work with. We are a very firm believer of constantly excelling in whichever field we are working. I'm gonna dive right into company history and literally take you 25 years back when I was like a year old. But we won't talk about how old I was. So let's put together, let me share with you company values. And a lot of these values, just a personal experience we went through in a company, and we articulated these values. We had hired Simon Sinek organization to help us come up with these values. And it's just been phenomenal because all of us grow up with some core values. It's really critical as a leader that we articulate these values and start giving some kind of a organic reasoning why you're doing certain things, especially when you start growing beyond 20, 30, 40 people, because everybody needs to be aligned with common core values. And we'll talk about some of these values as we go along our journey, and why it's important to why these values help you stay focused and really measure outcome, not really focused on a lot of activity, and really help you away or keep you away from a lot of anxiety. Okay, so let's go 25 years back. I think that's when I started my professional career. I grew up in India. My very first job was in Sheraton Hotel, New Delhi. And then from there, I worked in Park Hotel. And that's 2 years after I graduated. And then I moved from India to US. One of the reason I moved because I found an amazing husband, actually, my significant other, and I married. And that's the reason of moving from India to US. And even though I got a very big promotion in my personal life, but in my professional life, that was quite a chore. As I landed in US, I realized I don't have a job and I do have to figure out what I'm gonna do with my time. So first 1 week of my, first 1 week when I'm in US, I'll end up doing all kinds of things, from selling Pizza Hut coupon to joining a small tiny motel where literally, and it's a very humbling experience where, owners just didn't have any funds. They could either pay me or they could pay for my desk, and I literally end up stalling my desk. And those things really gets you grounded, which I feel like if we work in a very small structure, that's where we are learning how to make things happen without any infrastructure, without any support. So fast forward 2 years, I'd done all kinds of work in sales and marketing. And remember, this was like 4 years back. Joined a different organization, literally on a El Camino Real, which was a street I started. Did a lot of sales and marketing, revenue management consulting. And this is kind of a timeline of Milestone where I have mixed my professional and personal life. 22 years, and it's a little hard to decipher everything, but only one thing I wanted to say. It's really hard to say that you're going to excel in your personal life and a professional life. You kind of have to do it both. And in fact, when you are excelling in your personal life, that's when you're going to figure out how to balance your professional life. So it's not either an or, unfortunately or fortunately, it actually goes together, and it goes really well together. Reason I say that sometimes I feel like we kind of say, hey, let me focus everything, all my attention on my personal life or professional life and put personal life on a side, or let me focus on my kids and everything and put professional life. And that's where we are constantly going through anxiety. So let me just I'm going to go through a little bit more pictorial illustration of how all of this happened and give you 22 years of snap view. So after my first kid was born, which is right here, this is when I decided to start Milestone, because I was looking for more flexibility, especially that time. Anil, my husband, was traveling quite a bit. He was not part of Milestone. I was kind of looking for more flexibility, figuring out how I'm going to take Milestone to next level. What are some of the biggest thing I'm trying to solve? So there were a lot of sales consulting, a lot of brochures, a lot of things happening. And there's a reason I always have this moon and with this circle of managing multiple things. Today, I look back, we have a sales department, we have marketing team, we have sales, finance team, and all of these were just happening, from first thing in the morning. We have R&D team today. I used to have 4:00 in the morning. That was my R&D time. A reason I have picture of a moon, because in my office, it was quite lonely, but it was really effective. That 3 days of being in the office really, first thing in the morning, being in the office really helped me understand what it takes to run this business. It also helped me really excel in things which we are doing today, right? So I'm going to share that my background is not technology, but it's just self-taught, right? It's self-taught. As we experienced problem, we figure out how are we going to solve those problems. So after this office, I moved into my home office because I had my little beautiful daughter, and I kind of wanted to make sure I'm with her. There is a reason I always have this picture, because a lot of clients who started with Milestone 22 years back, they're still with Milestone. And that gives me so much pride that they still believe in what we are doing, and we can still take care of them. Yes, we will take care of our biggest customer, but that small, tiny property, which is really near and dear to us. So this used to be our lobby area, waiting area, offices, and this was all my house, which was literally from 1999 to 2004. And what started happening, that there were a lot of clients coming into my home office, and I had one employee who was the first employee of the company, and we just could not sustain working out of home anymore. And that's when I decided to get another home next to my home, because I'm just so stuck working out of home, right? And this home, we converted this home into the office, and it was my office. And then we had a sales, finance, design, everything. It's funny, this office could only last for like 6 months when neighbors started complaining because there were a lot of people coming in and out. And these are, this is a time when Google was just taking off. You could do just few words optimization and you're literally ranking number one on the entire planet for simply putting keywords in your title tags, right? And this is all of us who are pre-long SEOs. They're like, okay, what happened to those days? And it doesn't happen anymore. So yes, there were a lot of, a lot of people coming in. This is a time when Anil, who's my better half, he decided to join Milestone and literally pushed me out of my comfort factor. So I do give a lot of credit of scaling Milestone to him because I'm more of a creative person and he's more of a creative plus a structured person. So one thing I will say, Mary Smart. Okay, the number fourth office, as I said, that only lasted. This office only lasted 2 years. We moved multiple floors, and then we decided to move into a current office, which is next to this office. And right then and there, I still remember programming every single website on my own and doing finance on my own because I just had this whole thing that, oh, nobody can do a better job than me because it's all it's all tribal knowledge sitting somewhere part of my brain. And this is a time a really good friend of ours visited and told me that, hey, if you want to do same thing over and over again, then why don't you create a structure and make sure that you take global advantage of location. And this is when we, started our office in Ahmedabad, which is in India. And then a couple of years later, we started our Chicago office. And then we acquired a small company from our competition, and that became our DC office. And last year, we started our Bangalore office. So just a short tip, I would say is constantly embracing challenges and growing and adapting is the key for epic growth. There is never a right moment. You just have to decide, take calculated risks, and make it happen. Second thing, what I would suggest is constantly learning and growing, especially in this industry, because this industry is changing every single day. One of the reasons Milestone literally took off when very first version for this book was just written. Name of this book is Hotels to HTML, and it has all the strategies and all the solution for strategies. My personal choice is always customers are not buying they are not buying product or services. They buy solution for their problems, right? So that's how this book was written. Eventually, Best Western bought the rights for this book. And then eventually AHLA, an educational institute, which is in hospitality industry, decided to hire me as a speaker. And I remember in 1 year, there were almost 50 plus sessions I did around the globe, just talking about HTML and hotels to HTML and pushing your profit in internet marketing, and literally be number one in the entire planet when it comes to hotel internet marketing. And there are a lot of people who helped me in this journey, which again, I'm proud to say they're still really close friends. They're still Milestone customers. And it's just, they're part of this amazing, amazing big family. So I love this quote from Barack Obama that you cannot fear your future, you have to shape it, right? So take it as it goes and make the best out of it. And constantly keep learning, growing, and keep doing things which are needed for you to scale. Okay, so second thing which I recommend to everyone, that speak with confidence. And there is a reason speaking really, really helps you excel and gives you clarity. I remember my SMS, ClickC days, and in fact, before that, SES days that I've spoken on technical SEO panels. I've spoken on schemas, health, local, voice. Recently, I've been speaking on voice, content, paid search, literally every single facet of digital marketing. And I've also done a lot of speaking when it comes to women entrepreneurship, because if you really want clarity, you have to make sure that you're practicing that and you're really connecting with people who have knowledge about those areas, right? And this helps you. And it's hard to speak when you're not speaking about solution. You're just speaking strategies, right? And that's the whole idea, that getting crispness in your communication is key for epic growth. So these are all the organization I spoke for, and now our company, a lot of leaders in our company, they constantly speak for different organizations. This was the book which was written, was published by AHLA, and like I said, the fundamental of this is customer buys solution for problem. And it's so gratifying that I still have customers who would come to our conference and they'll say, hey, when are you guys writing another book? Because I still keep this book. After 12 years, they still have this book. It's very simple, to the point, but really articulate the whole story. Okay, so that leads into my third thing, that how it's very simple and it's common sense, but this is probably the most important thing which holds us back. Because all of us are technologists, right? We are constantly coming up with tactics and strategies, but we forget that customers don't understand all of that, right? We are talking about 404. Customer doesn't understand how 404 and 202 has anything to do with their indexation and crawlability, and how indexation and crawlability has anything to do with their website. So I love this video. Highly recommend everybody should watch it. It's only 2 minutes video. Start with why. And he's Simon Sinek is organization I've always followed. I've always followed his videos. It's talk about then make it align with why before we explain what. So last year, again, every year we won a lot of awards, but one award I'm really, really proud of. We received Best Overall Search Award last year. And then again, this year, we are nominated for several awards in several categories. Best of Search was really talking about omni-channel, right? So one of the biggest problem we have in our industry, that we all talk about channel, but customers' problems are not based on the channel. They are based on their omni-channel. So we really need to be talking about omni-channel and how we are going to solve their problems, leveraging all the channels. And here is the release format. Apologize, there was an animation, but somehow animation is not working. But if you follow this from left to right, and this is what I'm gonna try to share during our keynote in Bangalore in December, that before we think about which strategies, which tactic, let's think about what is customer vision, what are their SMART goals, what is the customer buyer's journey, these goals are connecting, what are the strategies we are deploying, what is the impact, and what are the KPI. And briefly, if you have top of the funnel strategy, your KPIs have to be top of the funnel. It has to be impression and ROAS, which is going to help you in awareness, not going to help you with conversion. And it's so critical to bucket this and make sure that customers are aligned. Otherwise, we are constantly running these ranking reports or all of these things, which doesn't really help in overall. It doesn't really help customer, because we are not able to communicate what goals we are accomplishing and not aligning strategies with tactic. So that's another thing I would say, putting all your strategies in a bucket, in a framework. Briefly, we'll talk about our platform, that how our platform needs to evolve from, needs to accompany your tactics, and tactics needs to be more of, what are the fundamental, what are proactive, what are progressive and strategic, right? So if you're really not capturing 100% of your thing here, what is the use trying to add one more thing, right? So it's based on your audience, based on what you're trying to accomplish, but creating platform which is going to help you accomplish those tactics. So I'll give you a classic example. So this is, just a sneak view of our platform, where when customer comes in, they can see what's happening to their analytics, what's happening to their entire ecosystem, what's happening to their local presence and reviews and, content management system and a lot of other insights. Are they doing well when it comes to digital insights and all the content marketing and everything? But biggest problem we were trying to solve is how do we make sure that when information comes to Milestone, there is one database which this database enable us to power information everywhere, right? So we centralize everything. When customer enters everything here, it goes into local ecosystem. It also helps us with their digital presence. It is also going to help us. It also helps us with their paid presence. So its consistency of data was such a big issue as we started scaling and creating one central platform, which helped us with automation, was a key for us to scale. Again, I won't go too much into it, but basically platform enabled us to power our content management system, social, local, all of these things, analytics, and then a lot of integration across different channels, from events to, things happening, nightlife, all of that came in. Because again, when you're thinking about these integration, thinking about the platform, let's think about what problem we are trying to solve. Classic example, 80% of customer problem, or especially when it comes to SEO, start with your platform and start with indexability, crawlability, and having schemas really work for you. So let's create a platform where you have all of those things natively built, then trying to create a website and then keep creating a lot of these things on top of it, right? What is the use trying to do keyword research and meta tags and title tags if your website is not even indexed, or it's taking phenomenal time to download, or it's not mobile friendly, or doesn't have all this GDPR or ADA, all of these requirements, right? So fixing your milestone is a key for success. And that's probably why I named the name of a company as Milestone, because it's 80-20 rule. Let's focus on things which are most critical rather than focusing on things which could make an impact, but it's not as critical to your success. And that actually leads into few last slides, which is really define the need and create a solution. Here is an example of another thing we did a couple of years back, when this entire ecosystem of all data aggregators, GMP, all of them were going. We were manually doing submission to all these data aggregators and listing partners. And what we realized is problem is a little bit less about adding more information in the ecosystem, and problem was a little bit more about how are we deleting duplicates. And this is what we did is through Milestone Local, as you're pushing information every single day through API connection, you can go in real-time delete duplicates on a lot of these ecosystems, which is to me, and have consistent information, have all the attributes which are most important, have all the images and all of that stuff, and won't take much time to do it. So a lot of tools we built now became platform, but we build these tools because we were trying to solve problem for customers, and we were trying to make sure that these problems are a little bit aligned with their business problem, right? If you have two listings for one business, that is going to really hamper returns for our customer. Again, won't go too much into it. The only thing I would say here, in search or anywhere, when you're scaling, there is always 80-20 rule. 80% of time needs to be spent on, or most of your time needs to be spent on things which is going to have the biggest impact. So now summing it up, I think I kind of shared with you in a most organic way, core values and how does it align with everything we do. But it starts with us having, clear mindset, right? Or having a very, very positive mindset. This is something Craig and I were discussing, that we all have anxiety attack and we always feel like there is something more we need to learn, which is important. But I think most important thing is, what is a mindset we have? This is a book which I love. I just love this book, Mindset by Carol, which talks about there are two different types of mindset. One is growth mindset and another one is fixed mindset. And growth mindset is all about taking every single challenge as an opportunity, and a little bit more stuck mindset is taking every single challenge as a threat and becoming very defensive, right? And if we just change the mindset, it just becomes so clear for us to stay focused on end goal we need to accomplish. Another one, which is a brand new, came out this year, which is called Calm Clarity. And it talks about scientific way of rewiring your brain from brain 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. And it's based on real story. That how do you do that? How do you make sure that you're constantly living in this fulfillment zone? Because problems are going to come. You're going to have problem with kids. You're going to have technology problem. You're going to have, there are days where you had a horrible time with someone, with customer, with employees, whatever. But none of that should really change your mindset, especially if you're a leader, because people are going to look up to you or should look up to you. And they need to be inspired by your energy, right? Even if anything happens, that awesomeness needs to be coming, and that comes with keeping growth mindset. So that's my one tip for epic growth: keep growth mindset, and again, have curiosity and vision. Always starts with why. How are you going to connect the dot? And make a lot of mistakes. It's absolutely fine. Enable people to make mistakes, because mistakes is going to help us learn and help us make, faster decision. Few last slide. This is something I share with pretty much every single interview candidate and during our onboarding, that staying in a flow stage, right? Flow stage is where you have a really good combination of skills and challenge, right? So if you have a lot of skill, but you're not solving problems, then it's a comfort zone or a boredom zone. Or if you don't have skills and you are kind of dealing with a lot of challenges, then it's an anxiety zone, right? And 70% of learning to me is experiential learning. It's not because I went to great university. Of course, it's always helpful to go to good university, have that solid fundamental backbone, but it's not necessary. What's necessary is to have growth mindset and embrace challenges and get your hands dirty. So 70% of learning is experiential learning. I didn't go to school because I wanted to be an engineer or a designer or a search or a paid expert or everything else we'll end up doing. But we'll end up doing all of this because we are very open to embracing challenges. So Milestone today, a beautiful family. which is Milestone family, and of course my own beautiful family. So all of it is just putting together is amazing team and adorable family, which is very satisfying and fulfilling end of the day. Last thing I'll say is books which truly helped, because as a company, you cannot do well if team is not there and you're not building that amazing connection with phenomenal people. I love Chip Conley's book. He's been my personal mentor for last 23 years. Peak, New York bestseller. Absolutely check this out. It talks about how do you build great companies with people first mindset, and how do you build this amazing, triangular between employees and customers. Second one is by Patrick Leonsi. It's again, all his books are amazing, but I love the one, the 5 dysfunction of the team. And it really talks about value of trust and alignment between teams, especially when you have remote teams and you're working across, global offices. Having that trust and alignment is a key. Another one I would highly recommend is Measure What Matters. We in fact use this book to create our OKRs for the company, because as company grows, everybody's doing a phenomenal job. How does that phenomenal job aligns with department goals, individual wins, and a company goals, and what is the meaning of success? It always starts with individuals. And then last but not least, again, my favorite, Blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman. It's an amazing book. I read that, I think, 1.5 or 2 years back. Sometime that, and it's just phenomenal. He also has a podcast called Master of Scale. Definitely check it out. It's phenomenal. Talks about a lot of things which all of us go through as we are scaling organization. And last not least, which is the one I'm reading right now, but really good, Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. Really awesome book. A lot of exercises, lot of things which we kind of, as a leader, we constantly needs to be reminded. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Here are my key takeaway. Priority management is more important than time management. Deep focus is really a key. It's not about tactics. It's about using tactics and scaling it through platform. Speaking helps you gain knowledge, because you cannot speak until you have solution for customer problems. Your mindset makes a huge difference, right? Every problem needs to bring smile on your face. Problem is not something, if there are no problem, how are we learning, right? So problem should really bring smile on your face. Personally, hire best talent and build amazing team. You cannot do it again alone. You need amazing team. Learning to communicate and aligning with customer needs is a key. And last but not least, measure what really matters. You have to measure outcome and make sure everybody knows that it's all about outcomes. It's not tactics, it's not action, because then we all figure out how our actions and tactics are going to align with the outcome which are needed in our personal and professional life to be successful. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, SEM Rush. And, again, Milestone is always hiring brilliant talent. So if anybody is interested, please go check out our career site. Thank you. To you.
Thank you.
Right now.
Thank you very much, Benu. That was excellent. We have a lot of good positive feedback from your presentation. There's people there thanking you for your guidance, your work, and the sharing the books, and a ton of other stuff there as well. So there's going to be a lot of questions, no doubt, that come in. So I think we've got 21 minutes left. So what we'll do is try and quickly go through as many questions as we can. So let me just get the questions up in front of me. So you mentioned that communication is important to your business. Are there any kind of tips that you can give in terms of apps or software that help you communicate with your staff and with your team? I know you mentioned that you built, software and stuff like that, but is there anything else like publicly available that people can use to help with communication?
I think communication is a earned skill, right? I don't personally think that you are born with the skill. You have to sharpen your communication. But I think we were talking about app for managing time. But for communication, I would always say, understand what problem you're trying to solve and what is the problem, right? So taking out time to understand what is customer problem, what is employee's problem, putting yourself in their shoes, and then putting what you want to do, aligning with how it's going to solve those problems, right? And this is why the communication framework I gave aligns everything, which kind of, this is my strategy, this is customer goal, this is what we need to accomplish.
Interesting. And obviously you touched on it there. In terms of time management, we spoke about it earlier. You've got guys like David Allen, who, I've personally, he came to a SEMrush event and he was giving us all tips because we can't remember everything. And I'm sure building a business like you have, a million things go through your head. So can you give people tips and advice on how you personally manage your time?
Yes, I think I'm a very big David Allen fan. Actually, friend of mine, Stephen Spencer, had introduced me to David Allen. I read his book, and then I have this app on my computer and on my cell, and this really helps me manage overall urgent versus important, prioritize. And good thing about his style of managing is, so fundamentally, you don't want to be always remembering things to do because your brain needs to be free, right? And in this time management, you have areas and you can define and you can prioritize things which you want to prioritize, and it syncs with your computer. And then there are a lot of things you can do with this whole app. But I think the philosophy is that you have to kind of, as things becomes more complicated, you have to pull yourself back and focus on deep work rather than a lot of external, overall work. And deep work is all about prioritizing important versus urgent.
Yeah, and I think anyone else out there who's looking at time management and maybe suffers from stress, David Allen, check him out. He's a best-selling author and has a lot of good tips and advice on helping you free your mind, decluttering your brain, and allowing you to be productive and be good at what you do. So Benu and myself both are big fans. So anyone with issues like that, check him out. The book's definitely worth reading. Also, you mentioned in your slides about building an awesome team round about you. And certainly for me in the past, I've always struggled to get good quality staff. I'd be interested in hearing how you approach that. Do you look for younger talent or experienced people? What's your kind of strategy when you're looking for people?
I think personally, I don't think age has anything to do with talent, right? You could be, it's really, I look for people who can solve the problem. So it's skill, right? Now, if they have experience, it's great, because if they have experience, then they bring that maturity, and you do need, as you scale, you need solid leaders. But ideally, I look for people who aligns with your values, right? I look for people who are really, really passionate about doing that, solving that problem. And then I look for people who are strong leaders, right? So sometimes people manager might not be best in hands-on solving specific problem, but their ability to lead big team is going to help you scale the organization.
Cool. And I've got one last question that I'm going to ask you on a personal level, because people ask me this all the time as well. You mentioned that your other half joined your company years ago, and my wife also works for my company, and people say, how can you do that? That can't possibly be successful. Obviously, you have made a massive success of that. So, what would you say to the people who say this can't work, don't do it?
Well, yes. I think actually when you're scaling an organization, you do need a partner, right? I was blessed to marry smart, and I did find a good soulmate, right? So yes, we have our differences. Good thing is that he manages a part of business which I'm really not good at, and I manage a part of business which I'm really good at. So it really worked successfully. I think we do have passionate debates, and and I think it's all good. So personally, the way I look at it is it's a synergy, and it's really hard if as you're scaling, you need people with who you have this amazing synergy, right? So, and of course, if you married smart, or if you have your other half with you, you do have that synergy. So to me, it worked out really well.
Yeah, and you always, as you said before, business can be a lonely place at times, and you sometimes can't trust people. And I think it's a good option. You can trust your other half with a lot more than you may trust, just some guy that you don't really know that well. So it worked very well for me, and it's great to see someone else doing it as well. So I can stop everyone asking me, and I'll say, go and ask Benu how that works. So yeah, good to see that working well. So we're going to go to questions from the general public. Someone's asking, how can voice search be included? How can voice search be included in the overall marketing strategy?
That's a really good question, and I don't know if you guys have followed that for last 2 years. I've been speaking on voice search. Voice search to me is actually nothing more than it's a changing the tone for conversational search, right? So if you look at your content, you don't need to think about just adding keywords after keywords if everything is evolving towards conversational search. And it is part of your overall marketing strategy, because when you're creating your content now, you're not creating content for a keyword, you're creating content based on topics, and you're adding information, which is FAQs, and you're adding information which people are asking most of the time from these voice devices. And that's why that's part of your overall strategy. So let's say as your marketing strategy, you're coming up with content piece on specific topic. Let's make sure you add FAQs and best tips to do, right? These are the things people are asking when they think about voice. And as you enable them with structured data, as you put all of these things together and put actions and skills, same piece of information is surfaced from your platform onto different devices. So please do check out on my slide share. There is a deck. I have several decks on voice search, and I think most updated deck is the last deck which I did for SMX West. But please do check it out.
Perfect. The next question is: brand search volume is the most important yet most ignored performance metric. What is your take on this?
It's so true. Brand search volume, reason it is most ignored, because people think that you are getting value, you are getting brand search without doing anything, whether it's paid or organic. It doesn't matter. If your brand search is taken away by OT or third party, that there is a huge impact there. So reason people, I think, reason people don't understand that this is important metrics because they're not able to see the conversion and returns. And my suggestion would be really breaking it down to communication framework, which I shared in my slide. What is customer goal? If customer goal is to increase awareness from current customer or new customer, there is that you definitely need to focus on your brand search. Or if your customer goal is conversion, then still branded search is going to give you highest return on investment, or ROAS.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think also taking into consideration, a lot of businesses just assume that people know who they are, and there's a bit of ego in there, and that's where they don't concentrate on it. They just assume that everyone knows their business and their brand, and totally forget about it. I've seen that on a lot of occasions. So I think ego and stuff like that come into play as well. But brand search volume is something that you can obviously get a lot of value from. And even prior to the webinar, Benu was saying, when you tweet me, can you tweet Milestone, obviously to build the brand of Milestone. So, good people are always aware. And, as I say, genuinely, Benu did say that before we came on live. So, yeah, I think, and obviously Benu's aware and making sure that people, keep going to the Milestone brand rather than the Benu brand, if you like. So, yeah, take full advantage of your brand. It's the easiest and most cost-effective way to kind of grab traffic. Next question is, which module from SEMrush do your team use the most?
I personally love people answer, the FAQ one, where you get a lot of good questions. I really like that. Team is using competitive insight. They are using, we actually use SEMrush API to decipher, to get a lot of keyword data, to a lot of, long tail questions. And then we put all of that in Milestone Insight platform and present information in a proper way. But if I'm going directly, I love competitive insight. I love, I love overlap insight and the long tail. I can go on and on. I love every single module of SEMrush. And Craig did not bribe me to say that. I love SEMrush anyway.
I'm just wondering if Olga put that question in there herself, but nah, I'm only kidding on. So another question is, you mentioned, I think this is what the right angle. You mentioned that you won the best use of search. Someone was looking for you to explain what that was all about.
In US, there is a award. It's by US Search Award, and every year some of the agencies and some of big companies, they submit their awards. So every year we get shortlisted, and I shared what are the awards we were shortlisted for. So this year we are shortlisted for 4 awards. Yes, Sik? Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's in 4 different verticals this year, right? So retail, travel, health, right? Or finance, automotive. Yes.
Interesting. Awards are always good as well. Great exposure. So good luck with that when they come round for this year. Next question is, what do you find is the most SEO friendly platform? Is it WordPress?
Well, I think WordPress is really good. Key thing about WordPress is you have to make a lot of plugins work for you, right? And I used to use WordPress, and then we built Milestone platform, CMS platform, and that is actually one of the reasons Milestone scaled is how our platform was built, because we intuitively added all the search functionality on our platform. But yes, WordPress is really good, but it's a little bit less about WordPress and a little bit more about how are you going to use all those plugins to ensure that your your content is indexable, searchable, crawlable, no 404, robot.text are right, speeds are right, AMP is working, and I can go on and on and on, right? It's literally those most important critical elements which are fundamental for success of any website, right? So it's less about the platform and how you make those things work. You can do that on Adobe, you can do that on a lot of different platforms, but how cumbersome it is, and do you have resources and technical know-how to get that done?
Perfect. Next question is, what are your views on using memes in an overall marketing strategy?
What are your views? Okay.
Question 11 on there.
Memes. Okay. Can you explain that a little bit?
So, people who use like a graphic with a stupid comment under it. So you've seen like, I'm trying to think of a good example. So they use like a Homer Simpson face and it will say something
okay,
like,
got it. Got it.
Whatever. And it's normally something crazy.
Yeah. See, the way I define it is that's probably one of the advantage and disadvantage of our industry. And there are so many strategies, there are so many tactics, there are so many channels, there are just bombardment of platform. End of the day, most important thing is that who is your customer, what are their customer problem, and which channel they're using. So let's say if I use memes as my marketing strategy, and if my target audience don't even use that, then I just spend all this time trying to figure out if that's the right strategy, right? So marketing strategy actually it needs to be aligned with my target audience, and are they using it or not? So it's really hard to comment. You have to first say, what is my business goal, who is my target audience, and what are their problems, and then you define the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to that is just to add on to what Benu's saying is, if using memes is something that's up and coming in the niche that you work in, then why not? You can find your own niche within SEO as well, or marketing. You don't have to always be the professional one. But if you are dealing with lawyers or big hotel chains or stuff like that, then I'm probably guessing that memes might not be for you. So yeah, it depends on your audience, really. Next question is, which platform can be effective for B2B marketing?
B2B marketing, I think, there are several platforms out there, but again, it depends what goals you're trying to accomplish, right? There is definitely Salesforce, which we also use it, which is the one we are using for our CRM. Parda, yeah. So again, there are a lot of platforms. We for our internal company, we are using rapidly LinkedIn. Yeah. Again, there's so many platforms. It depends what are the goals, right? We are also doing a lot of B2B, and we are building few platforms in a cloud to really help some of these big organizations to solve the needs which their current legacy platforms are not solving. So literally the platform depends on what business problem you're trying to solve.
And one last question, and this is from me because I'm not entirely sure, but you are always saying that you're building other software and other solutions internally. Are these solutions available to the public at all, or will they ever be available?
Yeah. These solutions are available for public, but so for example, if you want to use RCMS, or if you want to use Milestone Local or Insight, you can absolutely use these platforms. But we like to make sure that when you are using these platforms, we can give you the value. So there is a little bit of service element to it, which is overall is a good thing, because end of the day, it's the same thing I was trying to say for WordPress, that you can do open source download and then you can spend all this time trying to figure out the plugin and it won't work. Same
Yeah.
thing. We want to make sure that whether customer buys software from us or services from us, end of the day, we can accomplish customer goal. It doesn't matter what they buy from us.
Perfect. Sadly, Benu, we are out of time though. That is the hour just passed. So thank you very much for joining us. Everyone, you can see milestoneinternet.com is where you can contact or find out more about Benu and the business that you guys have. Thank you, everyone who joined in today and asked questions and stuff like that. And as I say, Benu, for you to come on here personally and share your story has obviously added a lot of value to a lot of people. So thank you very much. And I look forward to meeting you in person in India. Should
Thank
be a good one.
you. Thank you so much, Craig, and thanks for your time. You've been very, very patient with all the stuff, but thank you, and thank you everyone for tuning in today and listening to, letting me share some of this. Really appreciate it. If there is any question, please do come by. Definitely attend Bangalore event. It's going to be an awesome event, which is in December. And